Hello, my name is Daniel from Smoky Chimney Sweeps. I've been a chimney sweep for 10 years, and one question I get almost every day in winter is how do I light a fire? So I've decided to post a video on exactly how you can light a fire using a wood-burning fireplace. I get this question a lot, particularly from beginners who have never had a fireplace before and are unsure of the operation of their unit. Before you begin, remember that it is the safest thing you can do is have your chimney sweep check out your fireplace. Don't assume it is fine, for many things can be wrong with a wood burner and it can be dangerous to light up. So please ensure that you've had a qualified chimney sweep, and I do emphasize qualified. There are many people who are dodgy or shady that will claim to be chimney sweeps and have no qualifications whatsoever. So please make sure you do that before you even begin. To begin with, we're going to need a few items when you light a fire. First of all, you're going to need newspaper. Then you're going to need some kind of fire lighter. That is an optional thing. You don't require it, but it makes it a lot easier. Then there is obviously the wood. Here you have a large piece of wood. Then you have smaller pieces of wood. They are medium wood. And then you have rather small pieces of wood called kindling. This is what really starts the fire with the newspaper, and they progressively burn up the line. Here we have the newspaper. I have already scrunched them up in balls and what I would call, I suppose, long bits, which is actually just twisted newspaper. I'll show you how I did that. The twisted newspaper was done like this, just getting one sheet of newspaper, grabbing it, and essentially twisting. You do not need a PhD for this, it's rather easy. Then another piece of paper, again, into a ball. Now the first thing you do is you get your balls of newspaper and you compress them together. You can arrange them in a rose pattern, which is sort of one central piece of newspaper going around, or you can put them in a pile. It doesn't really make any difference. This is what we'll do here. There you go, I have put them in a pile and you can see them there. Then you move on to your twisted pieces of newspaper. Now you arrange these in your fire, the same sort of pattern as you would tic-tac-toe, or what some call noughts and crosses. It resembles the hash key, and so it's literally like this. Remember that pattern, because when we get to the inside the fire, you keep going with it with your wood, such as this. So we'll do just that with our fire now. And there we are, it's arranging quite neatly. Now I've skipped ahead ever so slightly just so that you can see how we do this. Now it's a bit delicate, you've got to be very careful. You can very easily make this little structure that you're building fall apart. It's at a delicate stage right now. Now, once you've reached this point here, these smaller bits of wood that we have right here, you want to put them basically in an X pattern. You won't exactly get it. I mean, it has to be, it teeters, it's a bit unbalanced, so you're not going to get it exact. So you do get the best you can. So the first bit should be easy, but the second bit will be a teetery piece, like so. See? Now, this is where the large piece gets in. Now, this is where it all could go horribly wrong, because it can collapse, so you have to sort of push it together again. Some people will like to put larger pieces on either side just to give it a bit more stability. You can do that if you wish, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible in this instance. Here we have a fire cube. This fire cube is basically, is so effective that you don't really need newspaper. But again, the purpose of this video is for beginners. So you just put it down here. Now, the ash in the fireplace is very important. It's best if you've had a nice ash base in the bottom. You need at least 1 inch or 2 centimeters. I've always told my clients to have 2 inches and 4 centimeters for a very good reason. The firebox is made of steel. If you overheat steel, you can change its molecular density, which means it can crack or warp, and gradually you will lose the fire's ability to radiate the same level of heat, and effectively it wears out. If you want your fire to last a long time, and we're talking about this fire here, the Frenzo Contessa, has a lifespan that the manufacturer states is generally about 20 years, but I have seen them last 40 years plus. And the reason why I say plus is because they're getting on their 40th year and all they need is the bricks replaced. This is a fire that literally has a lifespan of 80 years, and it's done so by protecting the steel. So it's very important that you keep your ash base. Don't remove it. If you've already done so and you've removed it, you can substitute it with some sand, but it will not insulate the embers in the same way ash does. Ash will actually insulate embers in much the same way a thermos does for hot water. So ash is quite important. Keep it if you've got it. If you haven't got it, you can substitute with sand and over time build it up again. Or if you've scheduled your chimney sweep to arrive, ask him to keep the soot. It makes an okay substitute. It reduces heavily, but it will work. If you've got nothing else, that will work. Now, we're ready for the all-important light-up. So, enough from me, and let's see if my concoction works. It'd be rather embarrassing if it didn't at this point. Now, we've lit it. The other thing I will explain is make sure that your air control is on high. Some fireplaces only have an air control, which is an air vent that opens and closes at a vent. Others have a more complicated system where they have an air vent and a damper. Make sure both are open. Otherwise, you simply won't make it work. Now, for 10 minutes, we're going to have this door ajar. Incidentally, if you are wondering how to clean your glass, a little bit of screwed up newspaper dipped into a cup of water and then dipped into your ash, scrub your glass, and then you can wipe it clean with a damp rag. Make sure your fire is going, of course, before you try this, but it does work a treat. It won't get it perfect, but it'll get it about 80-90%. But only do it once a season. Do not do it more. Now, we leave this ajar, and I will see you in about 10 minutes. Hello, it's me again. It's been 10 minutes and we're going to have a look at our fireplace. Now this fire has been going for 10 minutes with the door ajar. What this does, it gives it a little bit more air, makes the fire burn that much hotter, and it means that it really gives the fire an opportunity to get going. You do need dry wood right from the start, otherwise doing this could actually put the fire out. So always have dry wood. Get it in advance. If you can get your wood in summer, the better. Summer months are great for drying wood. Now let's have a look. I'll open the door and we should have a raging inferno. There we go. Nice and established. That is an established fire, and as you can see, the wood that we've already stacked has begun to lower, and it's already forming embers and a core. The fire core is a sort of coined term that we can make up right now, which would describe the center of the fire. All the embers coming together magnify and basically focus the heat in the central spot, and the fire will radiate outward. That's why we need ash, and that's also why we need kindling to start that core. But after we've got it, we can do some pretty amazing things. Like we can stoke this fire right up and turn it down, right down, which will give you a burn of about 6 hours depending on a modern unit. Now, the next step, you can see I've got some more wood, and we're going to essentially stoke this thing up. And literally stoking up is pretty easy, but there is one rule, one safety rule: never stoke a log this way. This is not really a log, it's a split piece of timber. But if I were to put it this way and it was a log, it can easily roll out. And I've got a cage, but if you don't, it could end up in here, causing a nasty insurance claim. Believe me, I get it once a year. At least one person has done it. And it's a silly thing to do. Always put your logs in long ways. Very simple. There we go. You can see me going in there and really staking it up. You don't have to be afraid. You can actually have this all night. As long as you've had the chimney swept, not a problem. You can actually go further and put even more in. But don't go crazy. We're just getting into winter here in New Zealand. It's not a particularly cold month yet. But we're having a few nippy days. So this is something that I'm really getting, before the season begins, I'm trying to get this video out there. That's why I'm not going to stoke it up right now, because we won't get to sleep tonight if I do. Now again, for the next 5 minutes, you can get it really stoked by keeping the door ajar. So I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Hello, it's Daniel here again. It's been about 5 minutes, just been over 5 minutes actually, only just. Now, the door has been ajar the entire time. Ignore my little puff of smoke from opening the door a bit too quickly. There you go. Now if you look carefully, see here? It's actually quite hot, so I won't get too close. But you can see there, approximately, you can see it's glowing rather red. And that is your core embers forming. What you want to do is get a nice glowing bed like that. Now when you can fill the entire bottom with that glowing bed, you're able to really stoke this thing up. And when you stoke it up, I mean stoke it up. It's like you can actually play Tetris with this thing. If you fill up every crevice with wood and then simply close the door like this and then put it on low. If you've got the glowing bed of embers, it really doesn't matter if the wood is lit, because the embers are so powerful, they contain so much heat that the fire will literally chug all night. Don't ever open your door with the air control on low. That's another safety tip. If you do, you can actually get backdraft, just like a fireball being flown at you. So if you accidentally open the door with the air control, always make a habit to open your door very, very slowly, like this. Okay? Now you can see it's starved of oxygen and it's coming back to life. But it will literally slowly burn. Now in New Zealand we have bylaws that talk about emission standards. Now these bylaws are in place to a certain degree. This is a fire that complies with those standards, as well as many other units in New Zealand that all comply. But you can already reduce a lot of problems with emissions if you simply have dry wood. There are a lot of merchants around that will sell firewood cheaper when it is green and wet. So you can save a lot of money doing that. However, do it in summer. That way you've got the dry months to get your wood sorted. Anyway, that's enough from us at Smoky Chimney Sweeps New Zealand. Our website is smokychimneysweeps.co.nz, Smoky without an E. We will post a link at the bottom. If you are outside of Auckland and you're looking for a chimney sweep, then I recommend going to New Zealand Home Heating Association. You can find someone competent there. Or you can find someone, the agency or association in your country that represents fireplaces and solid fuel heating. If you are in Auckland, it would be my privilege to sweep your chimney and service your fire needs. So look at our website. We'll leave the two links for those two sites, for New Zealand Home Heating Association and Smoky Chimney Sweeps. We'll leave those links below our video. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been informative, and we are likely to post more videos such as how to remove ash carefully and safely, and a few other little tidbits and tips that might be useful along the way. Anyway, thank you very much for your time.